of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. It's time to take a few moments from your busy day, unwind, and be inspired as you listen to the insights of empowerment psychic Halley Elise, a top 100 psychic, speaker, and author. Be sure to contact Halley Elise at halleyelise.com. And now, The Halley Elise Show.
Hello, everyone. Hope you've had a good week so far. I know it just started yesterday. I've been nonstop running. Matter of fact, if I sound a little out of breath, I was running here to get to the station today. It's been constantly one thing after another, but good stuff. And I'm grateful for that. Matter of fact, I wanted to talk with all of you today about something that I've been speaking about a lot, and that is your own innate abilities. I've done 3 different presentations in the last week and a half in different groups and in different ways. Some of the timing has been as long as 45 minutes. Other timing has been as short as 15. I've had the opportunity to share things that you probably already know, but perhaps you don't pay attention to that you might want to, especially if you're in business or if you're venturing towards having a business. And that is, all of you have abilities. Whether you recognize that there is an intuitive knowing or not, it's there. And I'll give you an example. I could truly say, without a doubt, that everybody on the face of the planet at some point in their life will recognize that they knew something with no prior knowledge, that they just, with absolute certainty, knew that something was going to happen, or it was the right time to do something, or that they should be in a particular place. They just knew it. That's called claircognizance, and that knowing is something that in business can really help you. Another thing would be clairsentience, and we've talked about that a little bit before on the show, where it's that sensation, that feeling that comes up. And you may have heard me on occasion talk with callers or even guests that are in the station about the body having a certain response or behaving a certain way to let you know things. A lot of people will say, well, my elbow on the left side hurts because at one point I smacked it, and ever since then, before it rains, it hurts and it lets me know that it's going to rain. But it's more than that. If, for instance, you have a body ache somewhere and you're wondering what on earth is going on, it is the body's way of letting you know there is something you need to pay attention to. I'll give you an example. Things that have to do with the hips, the knees, the ankles, that has to do with your movement. Moving forward, moving backward. If every time you go to take a step forward, and I'm talking about a physical, a literal step, not an imaginary, but an actual step, and your knee hurts, you may want to take a look at that. Yes, could there be a physical association? Could there be a physical ill? Of course, because again, the body lets us know what's going on. By the same token, if there's a physical manifestation of something, there's usually something else going on that there's a corollary to. And again, if we're talking about moving forward, give an example. Perhaps you were looking to make a change in your job and you've been debating over, should I leave this job? Shouldn't I leave this job? And let's say you're male and your left knee hurts. Left side typically represents feminine, right side typically represents masculine. Let's take it a step further. Let's say you're male and you are living with somebody, your girlfriend, and we shall say that you really need your income along with your partner's income to make sure that everything's copacetic. And there's some fear about moving forward, even if you despise where you're at as far as business. But there is fear because if you make a change, what happens if it doesn't work? What happens if all of a sudden your income is not accessible, or it's not the same level, or you start something new and the bottom falls out? That would be associated to that left side, the female that you're concerned about, looking to support one another. It would also be associated to that movement forward. So there is something to be said about listening to our bodies. There is the clear cognizance that I mentioned, and clear sentience. The cognizance is that knowing without knowing how you know. There's no predetermined material. There's not something somebody said to you or you saw. You know it. You know it to be true. And then there is the clairsentience, which is that feeling. And clairsentience is not limited to, oh, my nose aches. Often it is more a sensation. And I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I had an awful feeling, just an awful feeling about my mom going next door to the neighbor. I couldn't identify it then. I think I was 10, 11, something like that. But I just had this pit in my stomach when Mom mentioned about going next door to the neighbor. And we're talking about literally next door. But there was this awful, awful feeling. And again, couldn't identify it. But that's clairsentience. The end result, Mom went next door, and within 5 minutes, my little brother got very sick out of nowhere. He was perfectly fine all day prior. He was perfectly fine all week prior. I mean, it came out of nowhere. But there was that feeling, and I even expressed it. I don't think you should go. I don't want you to go. And of course, as a parent would do, but I'm looking around. Everything is fine, honey. Why would that be an issue? I'm right next door. You can come out the door and yell. I hear you. Knock on the wall. I hear you. Call, what have you. I hear you. And yet there was that level of discomfort that I really thought, I can't be alone in the house. I can't be alone with my brother. It just didn't feel right. Thankfully, it was only 5 minutes later, so that feeling passed. But that feeling passed as soon as my brother began to get sick. There was an association there that I could recognize. I could recognize that discomfort showed up because there was a reason for it. It wasn't just a matter of me being uncomfortable. It wasn't just a matter of I felt funny. You could say that was a pre-knowing, but that really wasn't clairvoyance, meaning there were no pictures or images in my head of seeing what was to come. It was just that pit in my stomach. And I think to emphasize this so this makes sense, my brother wasn't only unwell, we had to take him to the hospital. It was that severe. If you have something that pops up and you're thinking, what is this about? Check in with yourself. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why do I feel this way? And if you're not getting a clear answer, take it out of the intellectual and go to emotion. Is there something that I'm sensing? Is there something that I'm feeling? Is there something beyond this moment? Is there something that is connected to another person? Just allow yourself to be open to whatever comes to you, whatever sensation, awareness, knowing. And if you're not able to identify, but you realize that every time, we'll say someone is passing, it could be a great aunt who's 99 years old, lived a great life. I'm not thinking in terms of somebody young and oh my gosh, but just so that you have a reference point. If every time somebody that you care for is passing, all of a sudden you feel a little nausea, or you feel that you're off kilter, or your stomach is upset, and you recognize, wow, when Aunt so-and-so passed, and then Uncle so-and-so passed, and oh, wait, that dear little neighbor down the street who is 101, it was interesting that day too, I had that feeling. Then you realize there's an association. It's your body. It's that clairsentience letting you know there's something going on that you can pay attention to, and that you actually know what the answer is. You may not want to know all the time. There are moments where things come to us and we're thinking, just got to stop. I don't want to know this. But as I was sharing with one of the groups that I was with the other day, I said, well, why is it only bad stuff comes in? It is not that only bad stuff comes in. It is that we tend to ignore the good things. It's sad, but it's true. If, for instance, okay, I'll give a silly little example. Your palm gets itchy and somebody surprises and takes you out for dinner. You may not make the association. You may think, oh, that's interesting. My palm was itchy. We went for dinner and my friend treated me and that wasn't that nice. But perhaps it happens all the time. Still, in most probability, unless it's so frequent that it's right in front of you, you won't notice. But when it's something that's big, when it's something that has a major impact on us, we tend to pay attention to it. What if you start noticing little things? And if I come and bring that full circle, what if you apply those little things to business? If you know that every time your palm is itchy, somebody's going to do something nice for you and you're on your way to work, then you can make that association that when your palm is itchy, somebody connected to work is going to do something nice. Then start to see how it unfolds so that you can have more clarity. And you can even affirm to yourself, I'm open to knowing this. I'm open to seeing the results of these sensations and what they bring forth. Something to think about. We have a caller on the line. Lisa, hello.
Hi, Halley.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Did you have a specific question today?
Relationship and a yoga program that I've signed up for. It's 13 weeks and it starts Saturday. Just if you had any guidance on either one.
Okay, I'm going to go to the yoga program first. It's interesting because I get a very mixed feel about this program with you. On one hand, I feel like intellectually you've talked yourself into knowing this is the thing that you should be doing. And yet it feels to me as if emotionally you're not 100% committed. It's like you want to be, but there is that sense of hesitancy or resistance. And I'm going to say, be okay with it, because what I'm getting is after the first 3, maybe 4 weeks, you're going to find that you're really happy that you've done this. It feels to me it's more of a settling in. It almost reminds me of when you move to a new house, how at first there's that unpacking and there's the organizing and figuring out where everything is. It has a very similar feel. And I know that sounds funny to say about a yoga program, but it really does have that same sort of feel of perhaps being a little bit disoriented or out of your environment at this locale for the first 3-4 times. After that, it feels as if it's old home week. Oh, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very comfortable. There's a symbiosis that takes place with some of the people that are around you. So there really is a very pleasant feel attached to it. So that
Right. Yeah, I live in Boca and the class is in Fort Lauderdale. It's to be a certified yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Which I've been wanting to do for many years now, and I finally am able to do it because it's only on Saturdays and I already have a full-time job.
Right. So, like I said, keep in mind that any sort of, should I, shouldn't I, but I've already committed to it, it's okay. It's better than okay, because once you feel settled, I'm telling you, you are going to be so happy that you were there. And I feel as if the connections that you make in this program are not just about friendships, but also are going to open a door to go in a different direction with work if you want to, I'm going to say approximately 6 to 8 months down the line.
Right, that's my goal. Thank you.
Okay, so you just got confirmation there. You're headed in that right direction. So deep breaths, even though you're dealing with traffic, even though it's like, oh my gosh, it's not around the corner. All of that is extraneous, and it's going to melt away because you're going to find that you really feel fed by this and more than just the learning. You'll see there are people that you connect with that it's like, yes, this is heart connection. This is where I need to be. As far as relationship-wise, we're in, what are we in? We're in August, yes? September, October, November. I get roughly 3 months of change here. And it's funny because it almost feels as if as you get stronger with the direction of where you're headed for you personally with your business, with your finances, with, we'll say, that new phase of life. And it's not that you're that old, so I don't want you to think I'm inferring that. But it's that reinventing, I'll say. As you get more comfortable, and it's going to be like roughly 3 months where you're going to feel better than you have in a long time, not just physically, but emotionally. That's when there is a change as far as relationship status. That's when, if you will, the door starts opening up for the things that you want versus just allowing things to be there because it's comfortable. You follow?
Yeah.
So I want to say a little bit of patience with yourself, be a little bit more gentle with yourself. All that you're headed towards, all that you've been aspiring to is going to come to fruition. It's just you're looking at a couple of different timetables, that's all. And if you can have that patience and just keep headed forward, there is no problem, truly. And even when you go to leave the job that you're associated to now, at that point, you're going to be so confident. It's going to be walking in with a big smile to say, okay, just letting you know.
I'm giving my 2 weeks.
That's it. And I'm telling you, I just get a big smile like you're so happy about doing this.
Yeah. I've been trying to get out for a while, but I can't. I got bills to pay. You know?
Right. And again, I get roughly 6 to 8 months before you can make that transition. But when you do, it's going to be like, oh, okay, the timing is right. Yay. And at that point, too, it's not going to be, I'm worried about how do I take care of things. It's that confidence of I am taking care. So it's coming. Right. Just patience. And like I said, relationship-wise, you have to kind of be grounded within yourself a little bit more. And that's going to take the next 3 months here so that you kind of remind yourself.
To meet someone new, possibly.
I feel like it's more definitive than possibly. Because my sense here is the person that's around you is a lovely being, but I don't feel like, how can I put this? You know the old saying about for a reason, for a season, for a lifetime?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is not the latter of it, the lifetime. This is reason and season.
Yes.
But
And he will go away on his own.
well, what I feel like is going to happen is you're going to have a conversation that recognizes both of you are in different places as far as, and I'm going to use that word aspiration again, about your aspirations in your life. And that's going to make the difference. But I feel like when you do part, it's going to be peaceful. There's not going to be chaos attached to it. There's not going to be...
He's not going to be chasing me and texting me.
No, it's more a matter of, I want you to do what's going to make you happy. I don't like it, but I understand it, type of thing.
Okay.
All right,
good.
my friend.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. Have a great week.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we do have another caller, and I will pick up that line as soon as we return from a break. We'll be right back. Thank you. This is your empowerment psychic, Halley, Elise, one of the top 100 psychics in America. For over 30 years, I have offered psychic readings, programs, spiritual guidance, and other life skill techniques. As our lives have become more complicated, we often reach for answers. Who are we? Where are we headed? Are we pointed in the right direction? In addition, we often are concerned for our loved ones. I have helped thousands of people navigate their life circumstances through different modalities of spiritual and intuitive guidance. Call me at 561-755-2166 and allow me to further explain how I may assist you in clearing the path of yesterday so today and tomorrow will be a success. Call me at 561-755-2166 or visit my site, HalleyElise.com. That's HalleyElise.com.
You have been listening to a Top 100 Psychic, Halley Elise, your connection to all things spiritual, psychic, and empowering. For a private session, call 561-755-2166. Now, back to the Halley Elise Show and your empowerment psychic, Halley Elise.
Hello and welcome back. If you're just joining in, I started today's show talking about the fact that everybody has intuitive ability and about the fact that there's that clear cognizance, that knowing without knowing how you know something that shows up in our world. And what I wanted to really, really suggest, and it's a suggestion because you have to be comfortable. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I do want to strongly suggest that if you'd like to build on that clear cognizance, that knowing, every time you get that awareness that something's going to take place and you're proven correct in your head, do the little happy dance, do the little celebration, allow yourself to really make note of, wow, I knew that. Wow, that came in on its own. Wow, what a great tool to have, especially in my business. The more you celebrate it, the more you acknowledge it, the more your mind accepts that it is true, the more your subconscious mind looks for other things that it can give you confirmation on. And on a spiritual end, you're opening that part of yourself that already exists. Think of it in terms of it's a skill that is a house, and the door at the moment perhaps is shut. You're opening it, or perhaps you leave it just slightly ajar so that you get a feel of it, that you get a wind of what's taking place or what's to come. But I promise you, the more that you celebrate it, the more it will happen. And the same is true with that clairsentience. If that's a natural gift that shows up for you, some people have it, some don't, pay attention. Allow yourself to say, oh, wow, I felt that. Yes, every time so-and-so happens, my nose itches or my hand itches or my right elbow feels funny or I have a tingling on the top of my head. It shows up in different ways for different people. Just because I sense something in a particular way doesn't mean that's applicable for you. You have to allow yourself to acknowledge how things show up for you. But these tools are amazing for business. If we had much more time, we could go into all sorts of techniques, and we could go into a myriad of ways that you could expand. In the interim, I'm going to make an offer, which I normally don't do, but I'm just kind of in one of those moods to give things away. I have a booklet out that actually helps you on de-stressing, centering, and opening up to your own gifts. It's a little booklet, but I will be happy to email it to you if you contact me. Whether you contact me on the back end of Facebook or you send me an email to info@halleyelise.com. Whatever way you choose to get in touch, and honestly, if you look on the web, there's only like 20 pages where there's contact information in one way or another. If you just get on and say, hey, I heard you say on the phone you have a booklet that can help me enhance my gifts, I'm interested, I will be happy to send it to you at no cost and no future commitment for anything. But just, like I said, it's kind of one of those moods, I guess, because this time of the year starts a lot of activity for me with birthdays and with celebrations and holidays and anniversaries. Actually, it started last month at the beginning. Well, no, wait, we're still in August. I'm thinking we're in September. I'm pushing my time here. But at the beginning of this month, my child's birthday, a couple of dear friends' birthdays, one of my dear friends' child's birthdays, a lot of nice things happening, celebrations as far as wedding anniversaries. And then September is very full of birthdays and anniversaries and all sorts of celebrations. I like to give gifts. So once again, if you have an interest in receiving a booklet that will tell you about how to create stress relievers, how to get more centered, be more calm, just overall, and how to connect with your own intuitive knowing, your own intuitive abilities, I am happy to send that to you. Just send me a little email, or as I said, connect with me online in some capacity. And you do want to let me know that you heard it here on the Halley Elise Show, because otherwise you won't get anything. I want to give this to the folks that are listening in or that are watching. And if you are in your vehicle and you're thinking, oh man, I got to get out, I have to go do, you can watch the show on WNN, which is wwnnradio.com. Or if you're on Facebook, you can go to AMP Squared, which is AMP2, TV Productions, or even on my page, The Halley Elise Show. And there are multiple other places, but that's all I'm going to share right now because we don't want to spend all day just talking about where you can see the show. Just remember, if you would like a copy of the booklet, do reach out, and I'm happy to send it to you as soon as the moment permits. And in the meantime, I believe we have Anna on the line. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Hello, dear. How are you?
I'm good.
Sorry.
What can I help you with today?
Yes, like everyone, love and career. You see something in my career this year, something better.
Okay. You know, it's really funny because I hear something better, and then in my head I hear, oh, for 5 years, something better. It feels like this has been an ongoing process for you. And
Yes.
I'm going to say something that may sound a little peculiar, but I really feel like it has a lot to do with you not having enough confidence in yourself. My sense here is you work because, and a lot of people do this, so don't think I'm picking on you, but you work because you have to work to pay bills, to take care of your responsibilities. And again, that's the way most of us exist here in the States. But I don't feel like you're working because of your heart, meaning your heart wants to be happier. You should be looking at the work that you're doing and understanding that, okay, I'm grateful that I have what I have in this moment and it could be better. But how is my heart really going to be happier with this? And start giving some attention to that. If you do, you'll find that things start to turn for you in like 2 months. But
Wow.
if you continue this cycle that you've been doing, and again, it feels like 5 years, it could be a little longer, but roughly 5 years of, all right, doing something, making money, not necessarily being happy, making a slight change. Okay, it's good for a while, but then it kind of goes back to that feeling of not really being complete, not really feeling fulfilled. I really get the sense that it's important for you to start looking in terms of if money, okay, here's the question that you can ask yourself to help this process. If money wasn't a consideration, what would I be doing? Really touch in with that, because if you do, then you will find little doorways within the work to circumvent how you're feeling, to make it grow and in turn create more money. And again, I get you have the ability to manifest very quickly within 2 months. If you can wrap your head around what I'm saying, you will see a change that quickly.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, beautiful. Now, as far as relationship, you always have a lot of people around you interested, but you get bored. You get bored easy. And here too, I just think you have to have a little bit more clarity about, it's funny because I come back to the heart, and my thinking truly is, whenever possible, allow yourself to connect what is going to make your heart happiest, not what you think is going to look good in the public, not what's going to look good for the moment, not how it serves you right now, but think, all right, I'm trying to put this into words versus feeling. The overall impression with your world in general is that you're about function. You're about making things happen. And yet it feels like there is this deeper part of you that so wants to be that lady that is treated on top of the pedestal, the princess. Not as far as being snobby. I don't mean that, but I mean as far as really being honored and nurtured and loved and appreciated. Not all women feel that way, because a lot of people could be listening going, oh, such a general thing. Everybody feels that way. But it's not true. A lot of women go, oh, I can do that for myself. Leave me alone. I don't get that with you. I feel like that desire to be, again, I'm going to say treated like a princess is important, yet you're not making it known. You need to put that out there. You need to get more congruent with your heart space. I'm going to suggest a little exercise if you're open to it. Get yourself a piece of paper and something to write with, and for the next 3 days, before you go to bed at night, you can start tonight if you want, but write down, I'm now open to receiving my heart's desire romantically. And just say it with conviction. And when you do, give yourself a moment to think about, how does it feel if you're really, truly feeling loved and honored? Because that's the only component that's missing. You are, and I'm going to reiterate, you're very powerful at manifesting. When you think about, oh, I want to get something done, you make it happen. And you're really good about helping other people with that, with guiding them, looking at somebody else and going, hey, if you want to get that, this is what you should do. And when you make a suggestion to them or you help guide them, their stuff turns around quickly. You have to recognize you have that gift for yourself as well. This making sense?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Okay. So it's a suggestion. If you're comfortable, seriously, 3 days in a row, make the statement and take a moment to envision, what does it look like? What does it feel like when you wake up thinking, wow, I feel so loved. I feel so honored. I feel so incredibly nurtured. God, it's funny because as I'm talking, getting teary-eyed, which to me means this is around the corner for you if you just take a short period of time to focus your energy on that versus focusing on, but the person has to. Because here's the thing, if you put out that energy that has to do with really connecting with your heart, and you can think of it in terms of soulmate if you want, but it's bigger than that. It has to do with more that vibration that's in alignment with who your soul truly is. Right. If you tap into that, you're not going to be feeling like, oh, when's it going to work? How's it going to work? Why am I doing this again? Or how do I get out of this? Because I feel like sometimes that's more where your head is. You can shift this. Pardon?
Is it someone new that you see, or?
I feel like truly, if you make that shift within yourself, you will see magic within what's taking place right now in your world.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Thank you so much.
My
Bye-bye.
pleasure. Bye, Anna. Okay, I believe we have Jamie on the line. Hi, Jamie. Did we lose Jamie? We may have. Nope, I guess we lost Jamie. Sorry about that.
I'm here. Hello?
Oh, there she is. Hi, now we hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm like, I'm held for 20 minutes. You did not lose me.
Oh, good. I'm like, wait, I see the name still on the monitor. Where'd she go?
And I was listening to your reading with this other girl. I'm like, I like that mantra that she was telling her to say. I love that. When you were talking about some women like to be put on a pedestal, I'm like, me, that's me.
I find
I want to say that because clearly it's not working.
Well, but here's what we get caught on, and I'm going to share this just even as a general rule, excuse me. We grow up with a thought of what that special person is supposed to be. And it doesn't matter if you're straight, if you're gay, if you've got mixed ideas, whatever it is, wherever you are in your world. We all want our hearts to be happy at some point, but we all want it in different ways. Not everybody wants to be the princess. Sometimes women want to be the one who is more assertive, more in control, the dominator, if you will, in the relationship, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own way of doing things. But what I know to really be true is when you are in that place where your heart is vibrating at such a high frequency, that love, that desire, that anticipation, that excitement about what you want, then it's created. And that, believe it or not, is more important than that list of, okay, this person should look like, and they should be doing, and they should have. Those things are important, but what I find is the universe tends to put that together for us when we're open to vibrating at that high enough frequency. There's a girl, I'll give you an example that I know. She ended up with a gentleman that I know, and it's funny, I knew both of them, but I knew them separately, and I didn't know they knew each other. That's really funny saying that as a psychic, but it was two different circles. The gentleman was in the same office building as I, and I knew her through networking circles. I had no clue that they knew each other. And
How did you not know?
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's pretty funny for a psychic to say you don't know. But I only know, I can't even tell you 5,000 people. So I can't imagine why I wouldn't think about every single one of them every minute.
Right, at that moment.
But if I had looked at them, let's take the psychic part of it out of it and just say I looked at them. They both look like nice people. They're both clean, well put together, professionals. But as just looking at them, I would not have thought they were a match. They came from totally different backgrounds, very different people. And again, if I wasn't looking at it psychically, but just looking at it appearance-wise, again, they look like nice people. He was coming off of a divorce, and he'd been divorced, and I say coming off of because I think there's like a mourning period, all kidding aside, after you get divorced, like a good year, that you have to kind of get yourself back together. So he was kind of in that place. She was busy with her work. When she decided that work wasn't enough, she wanted that happiness in her heart, she started sitting down and focusing every single day on the fact that she was content, that she had that right person in her life, that this person respected her and there were commonalities and they got along. But more important, that when she saw him, she just felt love. There was a book, and I wish I would remember the book. I just don't even remember what it's called, but there was a book that she was using to help her with this. And it's a lot of the techniques and types of things that I talk about on the show where you are empowered. Anyways, she started, I think it was all of 28 days, maybe 30 days. They ran into each other at some sort of mixer, and they've been together ever since. And I believe it's going on 5 years. And
Did you know the minute she walked in the room? Because I've had that happen to me before, and then I end up having a child with that. I know,
yes.
Pick them out a mile away in a crowd of people.
Yes.
Sometimes your soul just connects to somebody.
Exactly. But here's the trick, if you will, and I shouldn't say trick, but a technique maybe. Your soul always recognizes people from your soul group. Your soul also recognizes people that are supposed to be in your life. The distinction is, if your heart is vibrating at the frequency of love. And I don't mean I love everybody and I'm doing woo-woo. I don't mean that.
I know what you mean.
But
I get it.
Genuinely in that space and is open to connecting with your match, there is no way that you cannot connect. What we do as humans is we get all flummoxed with all the stuff that we think we're supposed to have, not realizing.
We create blockages on
yes,
purpose.
Exactly. And
for
it's
protection.
not.
But sometimes they could send you tests. I believe that they'll send you people you feel like you have a soul connection with, but perhaps it's just a test, and they'll keep sending you the same lessons over and over until you get it.
It's a little different. I don't know that I would say it as so much as a test as it is. And Esther Hicks talks about this, the Abraham teachings. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Yes.
they're channeled. Okay.
Love.
They talk about this in the sense that the person that shows up in your world is supposed to be in your world in that moment because there is something that you learn. And if in that moment you were thinking, oh, this is a really great person, but oh my gosh, they don't even have a car and I have to be with somebody who has a car. So the next person that comes into your life, they have a car. And not only do they have a car, they have a nice car. But then you realize they're really lovely, but they don't take a shower. And you can't be with somebody who doesn't take a shower. So the next person that comes in, they have a great car and they take a shower. And I'm being silly with this. But my point is you are working from a base of perceptions that you think are going to be appropriate for your life. If you can do that and at the same token or same time, you are allowing that vibration of love to take place, you will very easily see, like instantaneously, if this person should be in your life in that moment or if it was just supposed to be a passing. Like, I recognize
well, that
you.
brings me to why I called,
Okay.
actually. Not to interrupt, I'm sorry, because I know you have other callers and you go off the air, but
No worries.
there
No
was
worries.
someone recurring that I was with and then just disappeared, and you said he'll be back, and he was, and then just disappeared again. So I just altered my schedule so I don't have to ever run into him at the gym. I stopped going on weekends, and then
Gotcha.
3 months have gone by, and all of a sudden I'm seeing him all the time. During the week, he usually goes at 7 a.m. before work, but he's going at times that I go at 10:45. I'm like, I don't believe in coincidence, but could this be the world's biggest coincidence? Why am I seeing him 3 times a week now on my time slots?
No, it's not a coincidence. It's because there is something that's not finished here. And I believe part of it truly is because you still have that heart connection. You have to
We have a huge connection, but he's not trying to talk to me. He just throws the basketball in front of my path, runs by me, waves, and runs back. Like, I mean, that's like a 12-year-old.
Well, there's a little bit of discomfort on his part that he's going to be rejected. And I'm sorry, but that's kind of ironic considering he was the one who set it up to be rejected.
Thank you.
Yes, and I get that.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, maybe? I don't know.
No.
But 3 months later, he just reappears. I'm like, now I can't have to run outside or go to a different yoga studio. I don't want to I don't want to run to. I have to change my whole pattern again.
Right, I understand. What I'd like to suggest to you is take a few moments at some point today or tomorrow and literally write out what it is that you are grateful about in respect to him. And it can be something as silly as, I liked his big toenail, meaning it doesn't have to be something significant, but just write as much as comes to you.
No, I do like a lot of things
Right.
about him, but he's emotionally unstable.
Yes,
or
exactly.
Or
But
commitment phobic or something where I don't want that in my life anymore. Like that, I don't want turmoil and I don't want dysfunction. I want somebody who knows that he loves me and shows that he loves me and that's not afraid. And
Correct.
I don't want any of that dancing around ambiguity. I don't want any of that.
Right, but if I may finish, what I was getting at is if you write down how grateful you are for those traits, and keep this in mind, those traits that you're recognizing, that adds to that vibration, that frequency that I was talking about. It's not about him. It's about those things that you are desiring in your world. Get clear on those so that you don't have to look at them anymore. And what that simply means is what I'm getting here is the universe is going, you can have this relationship if you work really hard, but if you want those qualities that this gentleman embodies in a person who is open and ready to make a commitment, you can have that. But you need to recognize what it was that was good about him that you would honor in somebody else. Because I feel like what you've been doing is, I see all this stuff and why can't he get his act together? Why does this keep happening? I'm doing everything in my power to stay away from him. But you haven't stopped to recognize those qualities. And that's really important right now. If you don't want to keep repeating this cycle, it's important.
I did that the night before the solar eclipse, actually. I wrote down
Awesome.
affirmations of what I was looking for in a man, sense of humor, intelligence. I did do that.
Okay, but here's the thing. You're looking, and this is what I was trying to convey before, and perhaps I wasn't articulate enough. If it's just about those traits, and it's not that actual feeling of connectedness, that feeling of love with those things, then it's more of the same. You have to literally raise your own vibration when you're focusing on those things. I think the best example would be to say, arbitrary example, a gentleman is chivalrous, always opens the door, always pulls out the chair, always allows the lady to go first. And I'm just using that as, like I said, an arbitrary example. But let's say that's the focus. Instead of just thinking of those things or just writing, oh, this is what I want from the next gentleman that comes into my world, take a moment and think in terms of, how does it feel when that gentleman pulls out that chair? How do you feel? And this is what I'm trying to get to, the essence of it. Because as soon as you acknowledge that feeling, not because it's about him, but it's about what's taking place, how it makes you feel, what you will do is step into that vibration of love. Because then it's not seeking it, it's feeling it. It's knowing that you have it. Does this make sense?
Yes. How you want to feel special and what the things you were saying to that young lady before my call.
Right.
And a guy that puts you on a pedestal and all of that. All of those things add up to that same feeling.
Right. So if I, for instance, were to say to you, how does it feel when there's a lovely gentleman in your life who goes out of his way to make sure that you are always treated like a lady? Can you describe it? Can you connect with it on an emotional level?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. When I say write it down and get into that space of gratitude, it's not because those traits are his, but those are traits that you want in your life. Those are
they ignite
that
something in me.
Sense of being looked after and honored and just made to feel like you are a sweetheart.
And special. And so,
yes.
But it wasn't in my head. He was showing up on purpose. Like, I mean,
oh yeah, you want to know the truth? I get the feeling if you ask around, you'll find out that he's asked about when you're there. Yeah, I feel like he knows a couple of folks at the counter, and that he's like, oh, so have you seen? Oh, do you know when she comes in? She used to come, blah blah. Yeah, I definitely get the feeling that he asked about when you were there.
That's what I said too. Because how could he know? He knows the yoga class. He knows classes that I take, but he works. He never goes past 7 a.m. Now he's there at 10:45. He was there at noon on Friday. I was walking into yoga. I'm like, this is getting a little bit eerie.
Yeah, he changed his schedule based on knowing when you were going to be there. And what's funny about that is he's trying to get your attention without being obvious about it, which is kind of an oxymoron here.
Obvious.
What I'm saying, it's a bit of an oxymoron.
Said, why doesn't he just pick up the phone and call you? I'm like, because that would be normal.
No, because as much as he would like to have a relationship with you, he recognizes on some level, and I say some level because I don't feel like he's an intentionally mean person at all, honestly. I just feel like on some level he just doesn't know how to show up in the way that you want him to. I do get that there's feelings in the same way that you have feelings. But if you want that long-term permanency that you're looking for, he's just not the right person.
Yeah, I know that.
And I'm sorry to say it that way because I know there's a connection, but I feel like it's more he showed up to remind you that you can have certain things in your life. You have to truly be connected with it, though. And I'll put it to you this way. In the same way that, and because I know this to be true with you, you go out of your way to take care of friends. If you see a friend in harm's way, you are one of those people that will dive in and protect them in whatever way needs to be done. I just feel like you're like the lion of the cubs. You will stand up and take a stand for anybody that you care about. In that
because
same
I can't
way.
do it for myself. That's what I was told. But yes, I do it with my kids. I do it with people I care about. Which is far and few between, but yes.
So here, think of it this way. You want to be that lioness who stands up because instead of the cubs or the neighbors or your dear friend, you know that if you stand up, your heart's going to be happy. Make that the imperative. Make that the focus and work on that feeling. Think in terms of God. What does it feel like when? Keep that really high on a regular basis. Be aware of that feeling. And I promise you, truly, what you see in him that you like will show up in another gentleman.
Yeah, you said I'm going to have someone in the fall of this year, somewhere around that time.
What are we in?
We're almost September.
August,
already.
September, October. Yeah, I was going to say before the end of the year, I get somebody in your world. But you have to decide to release this other gent. Otherwise, it's as if you have a full glass of water and you're trying to put more water in. It just spills. It doesn't stay. You want that new person to come into your world and to be able to stay. There has to be room for
clear
him.
Energy, yeah.
Absolutely.
I learned learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot from you. I never knew about self-care. I've told you that before. So for every little thing that adds into my journey, I'm thankful for. And I'm good the way I am if this is the way it stays, but I'd love to find love, obviously.
Right. But see, even that, you just dismissed yourself. I'm good the way I am if it stays. So that meant that there's no faith or belief that you have something wonderful coming in. Be aware how you're speaking to yourself, again, shifts vibration. You follow?
Everything's an affirmation, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not so much that it has to be positive or it has to be affirming, but it does. You have to recognize that what you say has merit. And if you're thinking the same thing over and over again, it stays in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind works behind the scenes. So even if Mr. Right is on the left, if you've affirmed to yourself, you've committed that you're not going to have it, you won't notice him, even though he's standing right next to you.
And because you emit energy and it's frequency, and if you're vibrating low, that's what you're going to notice, people who vibrate
Exactly.
low.
You'll notice, for instance, the guy over there is picking his teeth, and perhaps he didn't shave, and you're thinking, ew.
I'll attract the guys who can't talk to me and just throw a basketball in front of my face. I'll continue doing that, right?
Right, which is not what you really want.
No, it's not what I want, and I know that I can say that with 1,000,000% conviction.
Right.
Definitely do not want that. At least I know that he's taught me what I don't want for sure and
Absolutely.
what I do want.
Absolutely. But again, for the qualities that he has that are the same as what you want in your world, you can honor him for that. You can say, thank you for showing that to me. And I'm grateful for that because those are the things that I want. But I'm choosing to have it with someone who's willing to be present in my world.
Who's able to, I don't think it's me personally, I just think he's unable to give of himself to anyone, and that's just my take on it, because I have, a sixth sense. I don't take it personally, believe me.
Right.
I think if he could, he would. I mean, we have a very strong connection, which I wish we didn't, but we do. So it is what it is, and I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to heed your advice as always. I thank you very much.
My pleasure. And
I hope you have a wonderful day.
Okay, just one more thing. Think in terms of love. Okay? Make that your new mantra. I think in terms of love.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, hon. Have a beautiful day. Right. Bye-bye. We are going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with the Halley Elise Show. Thank you. This is your empowerment psychic, Halley Elise, one of the top 100 psychics in America. For over 30 years, I have offered psychic readings, programs, spiritual guidance, and other life skill techniques. As our lives have become more complicated, we often reach for answers. Who are we? Where are we headed? Are we pointed in the right direction? In addition, we often are concerned for our loved ones. I have helped thousands of people navigate their life circumstances through different modalities of spiritual and intuitive guidance. Call me at 561-755-2166 and allow me to further explain how I may assist you in clearing the path of yesterday so today and tomorrow will be a success. Call me at 561-755-2166 or visit my site, HalleyElise.com. That's HalleyElise.com.
You have been listening to a Top 100 Psychic, Halley Elise, your connection to all things spiritual, psychic, and empowering. For a private session, call 561-755-2166. Now, back to the Halley Elise Show and your empowerment psychic, Halley Elise.
Welcome back. I was just thinking on break about all the different speaking engagements I do, and I have such a ball because I get to meet lovely people, and truthfully, I love to see light bulbs go on in people, meaning you see that acknowledgement, that excitement when somebody gets something that applies to them, for them, and I do my best to share, not speak at someone. That part is huge too, because then afterwards I create relationships and friendships, and it's really lovely to go from place to place and always feel very welcomed. I had a group that I spoke to last week who, it was amazing to me. There was a woman who came up to me and she says, I remember you from when I first moved down from up north in 1979. I said, you do? And she looked familiar. I'm really good with faces. I need to be better with names, but I'm usually doing a million different things at once, and that's a bad excuse. The truth is I need to be better to put the name with the face, but I recognize the face. Anyways, I'm thinking familiar, but I don't know from where. She came to my office in Fort Lauderdale in 1979 and said the reason that she was at the event where I was speaking was specifically to connect with me again. I thought, how lovely is that? And she was really cute. She goes, oh, you're exactly the same. And I'm going to take that as a good thing. But it was very cool to meet someone who was happy to be in the environment because we had been in each other's environment before. That's what I think we all strive for, to have a legacy of something good. I mean, yes, there are a lot of people that want to build something, whatever that is, whether it's a center to help charity or it's a skyscraper that people look at and admire for years and years and see that creative prowess or architectural intellect, or perhaps it's nothing more than somebody who's kind. I believe that we all want to leave something behind that has a good feel. And if you're remembered in a positive light for whatever it is you do, whether you smiled at somebody or you opened a door or you said a kind word, whatever it is, you should do it. It takes 2 seconds. I find today that there are so many times and places that people are just unconscious of other people around them. You know, you shut a door and somebody who's right behind you because you didn't realize they were there, or because they didn't matter because you didn't know them, or you race into a parking space because the other person was there but you could get there first. Not very nice. And I realize there are moments that people do these things unconsciously. They don't necessarily do it to be harmful or to be unkind, but they're busy in their head, they're busy in their day, what have you. What if you take just a moment and actually make a commitment to yourself each day to take a moment to look around, see what's going on, who's in your space, smile at somebody. Don't make a big to-do about everything. Don't jump at everything. I know somebody who is very bright and really a great person, and yet they're always on the defensive. No matter what's said, it could be, that shirt you're wearing is really nice. Oh, well, if you can make a commitment to just allowing things to happen, acknowledging, offering a kind word, a smile, your whole life shifts. And we were talking earlier as far as that love energy, that frequency that we put out when we really want to be connected with love. It doesn't have to be limited to romance. It really doesn't. When you put that out into the world, you have the ability on so many levels to have good things happen because people are drawn to you, because they want to be in your company, because they want to give you things. And it's not because you have to do it for that reason. It should come from the heart, because ultimately that's where we all return to. Meaning, I'm not talking about the physical shell, all of a sudden that evaporates and we just have the heart. I'm talking about what we leave behind. We could say it was money or a structure, but it is truly how we make somebody feel. And if you've created a beautiful structure that people look at and they go, wow, how lovely, how beautiful, how great, and it makes their heart feel good, then you've done something. Because most people are not going to look at something and go, oh, that's amazing, I have no feeling at all. If there's that connection on a heart level, you've done something good. Now, whether that's you put your kids through school or you left the guy down the street who didn't have money a brand new house, whatever it is, it's individualized. But is it possible to think in terms of, I'm going to do one nice thing today? And just be open to what shows up. Meaning it doesn't have to be contrived where you're thinking, okay, there is that vagrant on the street and I'm going to make a commitment to bring him a coffee every day. You can do that, of course, and it's a very lovely thing to do. What I'm suggesting, though, is if you're more open to your world, and that means aware of what's going on around you, in front of you, to the side of you, behind you, at least once a day, you will enrich your world as well as enriching the world of others. And what's really kind of cool about that is when you start to enrich your world, that means you are vibrating at a higher frequency, which also means you're more open to intuitive knowing, and you're more open to good things happening, and you're more open to manifesting what you want in your world. Because as soon as we start letting go of being attached to something, when we let go of being distracted all the time, when we let go of what we have to do, and we just get into the flow of things, magic happens. I may have shared about this conference I'm going to. I'm not sure if I did or not. Okay, I have a conference that I'm going to next month, and I was very excited about it. It's pricey, and I thought, well, I'll do the general admission type of thing, and that's great, because just being there was going to be good. And yet I kept thinking, oh, it'd be really cool if I ended up in the front, if I could meet the main presenter, all of these types of things. Long story short, somebody in my behalf set it up so that I can do just that I can be in the front so that I can connect with the presenter. And it wasn't because I called and asked anyone, and it wasn't because I did anything elaborate, and it wasn't because I expected it, I'll be honest. It manifested in my world, and there are a lot of things that show up that way, simply because I'm not focused on, oh, I have to have this. Are there things that I feel that passionate about and that I want? Of course. By the same token, I have to remind myself, being in a state of angst gets me nowhere. And if you think about it, when you're feeling carried, when you're feeling rushed, when you're feeling anxious, when you are in that state of angst, how do things show up for you? Usually with more of the same. So as I leave you today, give a little thought to just deciding to be open once a day to good things, to sharing and receiving. Have a beautiful week, everyone. I'll see you next week on the air. Bye-bye.
Tune in every Tuesday on WNN at noon for an hour of peace, inspiration, and psychic phenomena with empowerment psychic Halley Elise. And be sure to visit HalleyElise.com. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Talk 1470 and 95.3 FM, the Health and Wealth Radio Network. Don't miss Community Conversations with Tanoa Limpoye, Fridays at 5 p.m. WNN. Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
Did you know that 70% of your skin is made out of collagen, and collagen production starts to decline at age 25? Invite Health's high-quality Peptan B5000 collagen